start that again.
This meeting
I've made that mistake before. All right, so now we have recording going. Welcome to the IIIF Community Call. This is one of the things that we do as the IIIF Consortium staff, is we gather together different topics. So sometimes it's about new implementation, sometimes it's a little bit more conceptual about digitization and the presentation of interactive digital elements. And so, yeah, we try to do this roughly once a month. Sometimes a little bit more often, sometimes a little less over the summer. But we're really excited here. Today's a little bit of a special one. This is essentially a pre-conference, a preview of some of the great work coming out of our Italian partners and members of the IIIF Consortium. We hope you enjoy this hour today, and we hope you'll join us. The IIIF calendar, I can put the link in the chat for future IIIF community calls. I think the next one, we'll take a break for the annual conference, and the next one will be in July. So welcome all.
Great. Okay, and Josh, do you want to try and take notes with me today? Okay. So a couple of announcements leading on to that. Like we said, this is a pre-conference event showing off some of the work that's happening with our Italian partners. On that note, registration for our conference in Naples is open now, but it is closing soon. So May 16th is the last day to register if you are planning to join us in Naples. And the other thing that I'd like to point out here is a survey. There's a link in the agenda. It is an implementation survey. So if you are either interested in implementing IIIF at your institution or you're currently implementing IIIF, we would really appreciate it if you could take 10 minutes just to fill out about where your organization is. We will present on that at the conference, but it helps us shape our programming and it helps us learn how we can better support the community in their efforts. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our presenters today. So we have three presenters. The first is Andrea Zani from MLOL. He'll be speaking with Giorgio Spinoza, who is the CEO of Hyperborea, and also Luca Sandoni from the University of Modena, and Reggio Emilia, who's the project manager of the Lodovico Media Library. And Andrea, can I turn it over to you?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Caitlin. And thank you, everyone, for being here. Let me just share my screen. Okay, now you should actually see what I see. Can I have an okay?
Looks beautiful.
Thank you very much. So I will speak about our IIIF platform for Italian GLAMs. Let me dive in a bit to a very short history lessons about Italian cultural heritage. For the Italians that are listening to me, please bear with me. It's very simplified, but I just wanted to highlight the complexity of what the Italian cultural heritage is. So, I mean, if we view the cultural heritage as simply a collection, a mere collection of documents and archaeological and museum objects, we actually can assess that the Italian heritage is extremely large. We have thousands of kilometers of shelves in Italian archives, millions of books and manuscripts, countless paintings present in museums. And this is because we have also a very complicated history in Italy. This is a fairly young republic, and the Italian people has been crossed by wars and invasions for many centuries. So we have a particularly distributed heritage throughout the peninsula. We have many cultural institutions, both small and big. So not only GLAMs, so galleries, libraries, archives, and museums, but we also have a lot of collection of antique heritage in a university, notary archives, diocesan archives. Of course, we have the church here, and they possess a huge amount of documents and collections, and we also have private collection. So this is to say that the efforts of centralization and digitization in Italy have been quite difficult in the last 20-30 years. especially compared to other European nations. I'm thinking about the Scandinavian ones. Of course, they are smaller, but Norway and Denmark, but even France, that with Gallica has a completely different approach. So in Italy, this is quite, the Italian cultural heritage is quite decentralized. This is true on a mere geographical level, but also bureaucratic one, and I would say also cultural one. Sometimes archivists and librarians don't see eye to eye, so to speak. And so we have seen, as companies, we are a group of companies, we have seen that every collection is different, every project is different. So this is why we offer a modular stack of service and products that goes from digitization of documents to cataloging and metadata enrichment, and of course to online publishing. We can provide planning and project management, and we provide also digital tools for reuse and engagement with the digital collections. This is a very simple architecture of what we offer in terms of services and products. We work with previous digitalization, which in Italy is a big deal. Like we had a lot of digitization at the beginning of the 2000s, and these files and these digital libraries need to be revived in new digital libraries, in new digital collection. Of course, we offer a new digitalization and planning and project management. And we have a digital platform that helps us to preserve, organize, publish digital objects, meaning images and metadata. I'm sure that Giorgio will dive in a bit on this. Who are we? We are a group of companies that has worked in different segments of the workflow of the GLAM and the digital cultural heritage industry. Alta Definizione works with digitalization of large-scale documents in high resolution, like in gigapixel. Hyperborea has been working for 20 years and has provided services and software solution for archives mainly. MLOL, the company I work for, has been providing a digital library platform that is used in over 8,000 public libraries with over almost 1 million active users. We do mainly digital lending, meaning digital lending of ebooks, newspapers, but we also manage and curate an open collection of 2.5 million IIIF documents, and we have begun doing these digital libraries for conservation libraries. And last but not least, MIDA Informatica has been providing digital reproduction services for over 15 years all throughout Italy. This is another general architecture of our services. We work with the metadata data set is provided by a product called Arianna for Work that is used to every kind of possible standard schema existing standard schema, and we have Cosmo, which is a digital asset manager. Both, as happens in IIIF, they marry the image and the metadata, and so we can publish those image and metadata together in a cultural object, and we can show it in a public access portal. It can be a classic digital library, as I will show you later, as MLOL, or a more archivistic one as a digital archive, as Giorgio will show you. And this is the stack of our products. And let me just geek out a bit. We are in a IIIF community call, so I just wanted to highlight the fact that we decided, Cosmo decided to build a custom digital asset manager, specifically designed for digital preservation and efficient management of a huge number of digital assets, even if they are in high resolution. They offer visible and invisible watermark, and the software has been developed from the open source software IIPI image, and it's compatible, of course, with the image and presentation APIs from IIIF. It's an open source software, it's scalable and reliable with short recovery times, and it has, of course, a user side. It's also an image server system for web-based stream viewing and zooming of high-resolution images. These are probably every kind of permutation of our services, because when I say that we are modular and we are tailored to the needs of the institution we are working with, that means that they can ask for one service and one product, but not the other. So, for example, I will show you later the Estense Digital Library that has MLOL, Arianna, and Cosmo, but Archivio Centrale dello Stato, that in a minute Giorgio will show us, has MLOL, Arianna for View, and Arianna for Work, and Cosmo. So there is a portal, there is an additional portal, and we also have other projects. And for example, this one MLOL is missing, and in this one Arianna is missing. So the idea is that every collection is different and every project is different, and we try to accommodate the needs of the collection itself and the people who are curating it. So I will actually leave the floor to Giorgio now, who is the CEO of Hyperborea, and we will talk to you about the Archivio Centrale dello Stato project.
Okay, just one moment. I will go to share my screen. Okay. Thank you, Andrea. Share screen, that's okay. Okay, now my screen should be visible. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So I will speak about our project with the Central State Archive. Let's start from context. The Central State Archive is the agency of the Italian state that has the task of collecting, storing, and making use of all the historical documentation produced by the central government, by national public institutions, and by private persons of national importance. And this is since the foundation of the modern Italian state in 1860. As a central archive, it collects entire archives brought in from different institutional sources, some of which are still active and others no longer. The archive is composed mainly of collections of documents, but there is a wide variety of materials of other types, such as a remarkable photographic and audiovisual heritage, an important bibliographical collection, and collections of drawings and prints, and some works of art and other art objects of all kinds. The Institute currently maintains about 160 linear kilometers of shelf space. The Institute is organized into separate departments whose managers have, over the past 30 years, conducted numerous digitization and archival description projects of entire archives and collections, or parts of them at least. And all of these different digitization projects have been using different descriptive methods, different software, and different technologies. Now, let me tell you about the project. At the end of 2021, the new superintendent of the Central State Archive began the development of a single united IT platform for management and public access to be completed by the end of 2022. So he wanted to collect all existing digitized documents, about 15 million images, and their metadata produced over the years. Imagine a total of more or less 700 very diverse databases retrieved and migrated for 1.5 million archival units, as well as all the new reproductions currently being carried out in the context of important ongoing digitization projects that have been designed to make all the inventories created over the years available to the public, even if they are still only available in paper form, as there are more than 1,000 printed inventories still being digitized by scanning. The platform is at the heart of this project. It had to do 3 different jobs: conservation, management, and public access. It had to be able to hold the quantity of documents in the institute's possession. It had to be ready in a very short time. So we proposed to the Central State Archive a system much like the one that Andrea described, a modular web-based solution based on the integration of 4 modules that work in coordination with each other. First of all, Cosmo, a digital asset management cloud service compatible with the IIIF standards for the preservation and management of digital reproductions. Arianna for Work, a backend application for the description, reorganization, and the computerized management of historical archives, and more generally for the production of descriptive metadata for a diverse cultural heritage. Then MLOL, a digital library for the publication of collections of digital objects and the related metadata, adopted today in Italy by over 8,000 libraries and cultural institutions, as Andrea said. Arianna for View, last one, a specialized front-end platform for the publication of archival databases and catalog records relating to cultural objects. In this particular project, these are the features of our architectural approach which proved to be most useful. The product-based approach, that is what allowed us to reduce production time to a minimum and got us to online staging in less than a month. This gave us the freedom to concentrate on content, which is the project's main purpose. This also gave the Institute a clear view of the costs that it would have to bear at full capacity for the maintenance and updating of the platform once the initial project is completed. Second, the power and richness of the Arianna for Work platform that provides the Institute's archivists with a very extensive set of specialized functionalities for a complete and effective hierarchical description of the sources and collections held, with different descriptive schemas as needed for different types of objects. Third, the robustness and reliability of the digital asset manager made for trouble-free handling of the huge quantities of the Institute's constantly growing digital heritage. Fourth, and finally, the ability to enrich the publication system by using Arianna for View alongside MLOL. This offers specific paradigms of access to archival material, such as navigation through a hierarchical tree or access by authority file. On the other hand, it also allows you to publish descriptions of objects or sets of objects not yet digitized, but that can still be searched and navigated. Let's see the result. In the remaining minutes, I'll show you some more about the individual application modules, so you can see the specific features used in this project and how they work together. Let's start with Ariana for Work. This was the Institute's choice as an internal tool for ordinary management of its assets, with complete descriptions at different levels of depth. For some sets of documents, there is a description at the archival font level or series level. For others, you get to the individual archive units or even individual documents, in particular for the digitized sets, with specific sets of metadata for the description of the specific types of objects. The system also allows you to manage the physical locations of objects and to describe different types of context entity entries or authority files, like persons, families, organizations, events, places, concepts, and so on. The system currently holds about 20,000 logical aggregations, fonts, series, collections, about 1.5 million archival units of various types, over 40,000 photo records, about 400,000 records of persons, 30,000 records of places, 23,000 records for organization, plus a few hundred more for families, events, or concepts. And let's come to front end. As I said, the front end for publication provides user with two modes of access. MLOL provides digital viewing and access for search and navigation of all digitized objects. Ariana for View provides access to the entire preserved heritage, regardless of whether they have been digitized yet, with various specific access paradigms to descriptive data of archival fonts, series, archival units, and documents. MLOL is a digital object center portal. It supports a visual display of digital reproductions of the heritage and the research tools, which are constantly growing. MLOL is specially designed to optimize public access and use of the images and their metadata. MLOL allows you to include text extracted from digitization in your research using HOCR, and that is particularly useful for digitized inventories. MLOL provides an advanced IIIF viewer and an explicit manifest function. MLOL allows you to download a digital object in PDF format after accepting terms of use. MLOL provides tools to create and share stories. MLOL allows you to frame each document in its relevant archival context via Ariana for View. And let's come to Ariana for View. Ariana for View is the portal specialized in the publication of databases describing archival documentation or other types of cultural heritage, whether or not they have been digitized. It provides various ways of accessing data, simple or advanced search functionality with filters for refinement of results. The classic approach based on hierarchical tree-based navigation from the highest levels down to the individual documents with their complete descriptive records. Cross-navigation among records by finding people, organizations, places, events that make up an objects contest. In the future, we will look forward to providing access via a map, and a timeline as well. So the portal has been online since last June and was launched at the beginning of 2023, following the completion of the upload phase. In the current maintenance and growth phase, we are working on several additional complex and extensive databases, each containing hundreds of thousands of records. At the same time, we have been uploading many new digitizations that are being carried out as part of various specific projects. During the 2023, we expect to upload about 30 more terabytes of new digitizations. So thank you for your attention. I'm available for any questions or further information. And in any case, arrivederci a Napoli.
Thank you, Giorgio. Let me share my screen. So, okay, let me see. Okay, you should see my screen. Please tell me okay.
Might just be taking a moment.
Okay.
It says your screen sharing, but we don't see anything yet.
I don't see anything myself. Let me try again. Just to see if... Do you see it?
Yes, beautiful.
Okay, thank you very much. So, thank you, Giorgio. I will illustrate briefly the Estense Digital Library portal, which is quite similar to Archivio dello Stato one. It's a digital library, so it has all the perks and features of the digital library, mainly the facets with which you can refine your search. So you can of course you can click on them and you will have different filters and you will refine every search. You have a different collection, different types of documents. For example, we have manuscripti, maps, musical sheets, etc. And you have an advanced search feature, you have a simple search feature, and you have also, and when you click on one of the documents, you get a nice Mirador-tree viewer with some of the plugins enabled. We have also a download PDF for the ones who wants to download it. My religion prohibits me to do live tests, so I will not click on that button. But you have, I mean, this is nice because you can see, you can actually harness the whole full potential of IIIF. This is a big map. This is a nice map. It's Carta del Cantino, is from 1502, 1502. And you can actually see the path of Moses through the Red Sea in this map. And it's nice because this map is 2 meters by 1. And we digitize it with a very complex structure, which is this tool I wanted to show you, this one. We actually had to build one to make the pictures of the oversized maps. This was the digitization project in Estense a few years ago. So this is the page of the cultural object with the metadata. and the IIIF viewer. What I wanted to show you, though, is what we call stories. I told you before that we provide tools for engagement with the digital collection and for the use of the image. Well, stories are nothing new from a technological point of view. They are completely based on IIIF APIs, but they provide a visual path through the digital collection. This is a nice story made by Isabella Manchia, who is with us and is listening to us right now. And she made a great presentation. A story is with visual path, a navigation through the collection of the library and of different libraries. You can, of course, this is not an image, a still image. It's a proper viewer of IIIF, of a IIIF document. You can zoom in, you can zoom out, you can go, you can have different images. Here we have 16. You can actually annotate a small piece, a small frame of the image. You can select different documents, different image per document, and it's very, very useful for a teacher, for art historians, etc. And what I wanted to highlight is that not all of these documents are from the collection of Estense. They are not just the Estense collection, but they are, a lot of them, they are from other digital collection. For example, this one is from the David Ramsay map collection. And how is this possible? Well, of course, we have harvested a 2.5 million IIIF documents and have put this open catalog, or these are all open public domain, Creative Commons licensed documents, and they are all from all over the world. In this list, you can see the whole distributors. We can see the Bayerisch, we can see the Art Institute of Chicago, Bodleian Libraries, Boston Public Libraries, Brown University, eCodices, David Ramsay Map Collection, and so on and so forth. The team of the Open Catalog in MLOL, the team of MLOL have selected and harvested throughout I think it's about 8-9 years, a lot of open collection. In the last 4 or 5 years, we have focused on IIIF collections. We harvest the manifests and we put them, we create with the metadata and the manifest, we create a simple page here on our library. It's not just the Estense Digital Libraries, but all the portals of all 8,000 Italian public libraries do share this catalog. I can show it to you right here. We have this catalog in all our portals. This means public libraries, but also school libraries, also state and conservation libraries. So this means that the stories, they can actually tap on the great potential that IIIF promised us and is actually delivering it. So we deeply believe in the power of these kind of tools, and because they try to bridge the gap between the digital collection, the cultural heritage collection, and the final user, being a student, a teacher, a art historian, a curator, a librarian, an archivist, etc. So, I mean, we are very happy with this new version of the stories. We had the previous versions a few years ago. This is brand new. We published it just 2 months ago. And we are actually working a lot on it because we believe that it can be a force for engagement for all the user with all the great treasure of the global cultural heritage. And with this, I thank you, and I will leave the floor to Luca Sandoni. Sorry.
Yes.
Luca Sandoni, okay, who is a fellow of the Research Center of University for Digital Humanities of University of Modena and Bologna, and is the project manager of the Lodovico Digital Library.
Thank you, Andrea. So I share screen. Can you see the presentation?
Yes.
So thank you for the presentation, for the invitation. Lodovico Media Library is a cross-institutional and multi-tenant media library founded in 2021 and developed by the Research Center on Digital Humanities of the University of Modena and Reggio Emilia. Its name, Lodovico, is a reference to the Italian and Modenese intellectual Lodovico Antonio Muratori, who in the 18th century collected and published materials from Italian and European libraries and archives, constructing a kind of antelitteram universal library. Inspired by his example, the vision of Lodovico is to bring digitally together different data and cultural heritage in order to expand research and knowledge sharing in what is, in Italy's case, a highly fragmented context that over time has been subject to ruptures and dispersions into many distinct cultural entities. For this reason, overcoming institutional barriers and virtually reuniting forms of heritage that have been broken up add value on at least two fronts. Firstly, it makes individual areas of cultural heritage more visible thanks to the possibility of performing integrated searches. Secondly, it makes it possible to acquire a more accurate understanding of the historical sedimentation of heritage, highlighting the external relations with a specific conservation body. Lodovico applies its vision to a specific territorial context, and it is designed to offer a space for digital sharing and enhancement of their respective heritage to the cultural institution, museum, libraries, archives, associations of the Italian region Emilia-Romagna, an area with a largely homogeneous and interconnected history and culture. Lodovico is conceived according to a multi-tenant structure. This means that the archive space in which the digital objects are stored is organized into compartments called tenants. Individual tenants, therefore, are virtual spaces in which the images and metadata of each institution are hosted in an independent and separate way from others, without this limiting the transversal access enjoyed by the user in any way. These spaces are not organized on the basis of topic, type of documents, or chronology. Rather, they correspond to the partners of Lodovico, the decision having been made to promote the institutional dimension in line with the choices adopted in other digital humanities projects. As a consequence, other tools are used, for example, advanced search masks, filters, or menus, for reaggregating the data and digital objects according to the needs of the user, going beyond the division by institution. It is common knowledge that with regard to the architecture of metadata, it's advisable to adopt shared standards in order to facilitate interoperability, or at any rate, the ability of the data to dialogue through the different systems that use it. In addition to this, a federated project like Lodovico must clearly develop information standardization protocols that are applied by all participating subjects so that the data is interoperable not only in terms of structure, but also as regards content. To meet this goal and ensure metadata is connectable and able to interoperate, a metadata model has been prepared on the basis of a consolidated international standard, the Dublin Core Metadata Element Set, whose 15 categories have been adapted, reviewing the names, but not the content of some, specifying others, and establishing the essential methods by which the data of each category is articulated. It is important to underline that, aiming particularly at a non-specialist audience, Lodovico has chosen to apply a unique metadata set to all the digital objects it hosts, regardless of their specific nature and type. That is to say, archive documents, library items, museum items, geographical maps, musical documents, and so on. This is a very clear and constant choice that implies some degree of simplification, but it allows Lodovico to describe all the digital objects according to the same categories, and so to maximize the possibility of dialogue between them. The entire set of metadata does not have to be produced in full for every series or document collection, but can be activated to a variable degree according to the cost-benefit ratio and or a scientific level on the basis of their actual usefulness with regard to the materials for which metadata has been produced. What is essential, on the other hand, is that the same types of information converge in the same categories of metadata, and that the latter are codified on the basis of standard criteria in accordance with the compilation manual used by Lodovico Consortium. The metadata related to each digital object is presented grouped together or alongside each other to make it easier to read and understand. It is organized in 3 blocks on Lodovico. Firstly, there is a heading with the key data, a miniature of the digital object, title, author, and date of document, as well as this type. Secondly, there is the image of the digitized object codified according to the standards defined by the IIIF protocol, which permits its interoperability with other digital libraries. The high quality and resolution of the images aim to pique the interest of the user, who via the viewer can enlarge the digital object and observe it in a level of detail that in many cases wouldn't be possible with the traditional consultation of the original documents. Finally, the descriptive details of the digitized objects are reported below the image. An internal description is provided, which may consist of a summary or a more or less analytical indexation of the content, supplemented where relevant by a comprehensive transcription. These are followed by data on the location of the document, in archive, library, museum, or other conservation entity, the conservation institution, the people or institutions cited, the places cited, the subject index, the exact chronological date, and more descriptive detail of the medium. All fields can be searched. Most users can take advantage of a Google-like search tool to find information relatively quickly. However, this does not exclude the possibility of performing advanced searches using a specified query mask that presents the most relevant categories of metadata. One last useful note: the federated logic of Lodovico, the efforts to guarantee the interoperability of both the metadata and the images, ensure that the media library can easily be associated with other projects according to the inclusive and collaborative spirit typical of the digital humanities. In an era in which digital technology has profoundly changed traditional practices like archiving, Lodovico represents a medium for sharing cultural heritage on a vast scale. It has therefore to be viewed as a first access tool for tapping into more complex knowledge and digitally accessing a legacy of information that the expert user is able to decipher in depth. As in the case of many digital projects, Lodovico still remains a work in progress in which experimentation in the fields helps to refine theoretical aspects, also through mistakes, revisions, and reconsideration. Thank you very much for your attention.
Okay, thank you all. So we have about little less than 15 minutes left for some questions. So I would encourage folks either if you'd like to raise your hand in the chat or post your question in the chat, I will do my best to read and convey those to our speakers. Here we go. Okay. So first, a question, I guess this is for the same question. So this would be for Luca. How did you get everyone to agree on a common Dublin core model across different collections?
That is the problem. That is the...
With a whip.
So we use a general pattern of information that is author, title, data, places that are common to all type of document, less or more. And we use the free area of description, such as the notes on the description, for more specific element of description about, for example, pictures or specific museum items and so on. And so with a sort of simplification, we can get the same line of description for a manuscript or a work of art or a book or a picture, a map, a musical sheet. And so we can interoperate these different types of documents at the same time with the same pattern of metadata. Yes, we have many times discussed this point with our colleagues. The technique who work with libraries, with archive, with work of arts may, and in some cases have criticized this choice, but we think that it's a solution, a possible solution with a sort of simplification to maintain in the same basket some different, in some cases very different elements and objects. And so we can really interoperate them in the Lodovico Media Library. I don't know if I have answered the question.
Yes. Okay. Affirmative. Okay. Another question related to metadata. Are you performing some kind of metadata reconciliation or clustering on the metadata that is aggregated into the MLOL Open Library?
Yes, yes, we have been doing that for years. I've been doing that when I was in charge of the project. I've been doing that with OpenRefine, and we have been reconciling against VIAF. VIAF, I don't know how to pronounce that in English, and Wikidata. So right now we actually in all the portals, when you click on the name of the author via API, we get the ID of Wikidata and we get a snippet of the bio of the author from Wikipedia. And so we use mainly Wikidata as a sort of super authority file, basically on the authors. And right now, my colleague Valentina, she has been working on a much more sophisticated project, and she does a semi-automatic reconciliation via software. I used to do it by hand on OpenRefine. and she does that on a semi. I actually don't know how she does that, but she, she wrote a software, and I don't know which kind of script she does use. And yeah, so I hope to have answered your question. There was another question from I think Josh.
Yes.
The stories, I mean, the stories, as I told you before, are a brand new project in this version. Like, this is the new version of the stories. And Isabella, my colleague, she has been working directly with the Gallerie Estensi. This is the cultural institution behind the Estense Digital Library. And they made 4 meetings that were open to the teachers, were open to some art historians, and so there was a joint presentation with her and some curators from the Gallerie Estensi, and I also think 2 teachers from the educational department of Regione Emilia-Romagna. So I mean, it was a sort of actually a little project that is aimed to engage with teachers mainly. And of course, I think this is nice that the institution, the cultural institution, believes in the tool and puts some work and some effort with the tool and with his own curators. And so I think this is nice. This has been the first round of meetings, and probably there will be more in the future. So I hope to have answered.
Great. Okay, we have one more question around metadata. So with the reconciliation of metadata with a source that has multiple languages for object titles, such as VIAF does for some names, is there an existing provision or thought about providing these in the IIIF manifest metadata? I'm going to paste this into the notes as well.
Okay, sorry, I actually didn't see the sorry, there was my son here. I completely missed the question.
That's okay. It's in the agenda, but I'll read it again. With the reconciliation of metadata with a source that has multiple languages for object titles, as VIAF does for some names, is there an existing provision or thought about providing these in the IIIF manifest metadata using the language map construct?
Okay, the short answer is no at the moment, because the idea is that right now we have some work to do with manifests, with the manifests we make, as Giorgio knows, and we need to feel it, to make a way to make the manifest and have the manifest updated at the end of the data enrichment workflow, because in our experience, archivists, librarians, curators, they work on the metadata after it is published. This is the reality in Italy. You work on the metadata when you see them on a digital library, because you see that it's maybe poor or needs to be corrected. So we need to find a way to, close to have a sort of recursion in the data. But we do not change anything on the manifest that we harvest from the web. So if I take one manifest from the digital library, the Library of Congress, I do something with the data, but I do not give anything back to them, because I don't know how to do that. And so I just take the metadata from the manifest, and maybe I reconcile them in my own database. So this is what we do. It would be nice to give something back when we do, but at the moment we don't know how to do that.
Okay, we probably have time for one more question if anyone else has something they'd like to ask our panel. Okay, well, since we're almost to the top of the hour, I'd like to thank Andrea and Giorgio and Luca for your presentation. This was extremely helpful, and I think this was really exciting for us leading up to our conference in Naples. So thank you very, very much for your presentation. This is exciting work, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you for the opportunity, and see you in Naples.
Thank you. Ci vediamo a Napoli.
Thank you.
Okay, bye all.
Bye all.
Bye all.